Eat, Drink, DFW from the Dallas Morning News is made possible by Central Market.
Hello, and welcome to Eat, Drink, DFW, the podcast from the Dallas Morning News food team. Each week, we take a look at food and drink trends in North Texas, talk about restaurants in Dallas-Fort Worth, learn some new recipes, and sometimes even get tips from you, our listeners. I'm Anna Butler, the Dallas Morning News' food editor, and all this month we'll be focusing on our favorite recipes for summer. We've been collecting ideas from listeners, readers, coworkers, and even family members, and we can't wait to share them with you. That's all coming up right after this.
Don't miss the Texas Chowdown going on now at Central Market, where we're really into Texas. Like our buttermilk pecan pie is nuttier than a rodeo clown. We like our cowboy cut bacon even thicker than the humidity. And when talking Gulf oysters, we shuck around and find out. We're really into Texas. If you are too, gather round for the Texas Chowdown, featuring tasty local favorites from the Panhandle to the coast, as only Central Market could wrangle up. Like Gulf shrimp, Texas beef, local peaches, and more. Shop now at Central Market.
For the latest food and restaurant news in Dallas-Fort Worth, visit dallasnews.com/food. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so email us at eatdrink@dallasnews.com. Today, I am joined by our food writers Sarah Blaskovich, Imelda Garcia, and Chef Andre Natera. And we've been busily collecting recipes for your summer months, reaching out to our listeners and coworkers, even family, to find the best ideas for the hottest time of the year. I wanted to start with an obvious one in my family, tomatoes. Well, of course, summer is prime tomato season, especially when we're talking about East Texas. While I grew up in Austin, most of my family is from the tomato capital of the world. Does anybody know what city that is?
No idea.
Small city I've never heard of in Northeast Texas.
It would be Jacksonville, Texas.
Oh. Ding, ding, ding. Never heard of it.
Their high school stadium is called the Tomato Bowl, and it's made out of this red sandstone. It's epic. But
I love that so much.
you know, my grandmother just being older than she used to be, as it happens with time. But so
Anna explains time to us.
Well, so she now lives in Fort Worth, so I don't get to go to Jacksonville as much, but I grow amazing tomatoes, and so does my mom. And you might be asking why. Well, we pilfered a lot of soil while she still lived there.
Wow.
By the gallons and gallons of it. So we truly believe that this Jacksonville soil makes all the difference in the world. But like a Jacksonville tomato, I'll eat it like an apple.
Wow.
I'm a heathen.
Do you put salt? Do you bite and then do like a little sprinkle of salt?
I mean, you could. I would do it without salt. I would do it lemon pepper, and I'm talking about like the processed one. But
Lemon pepper on tomatoes.
Well, that also might be nostalgia, though. You know those recipes where you're like, I don't know if it should actually taste good, but it does. Kraft macaroni and cheese.
There's nothing wrong with Kraft with a K.
Anna, is there a tomato festival or something like that in Jacksonville?
Yeah, there's a tomato fest every summer, Imelda. It's a great question. You could go yourself.
Yeah, let's go.
Chef Andre Natera, if you were preparing tomatoes for a dinner party, let's say, what would you do with the wonderful tomato?
First thing I would do is make sure it's in the summer.
Yeah, Great.
I would get the best tomatoes I could find. So good advice, if you're not sure what the best tomatoes are, they should look like the ones that you're not used to seeing.
Oh,
They should
okay.
be irregular. They should be different shapes, different colors. They should be slightly soft. And I would get a variety of tomatoes. I'd get a variety of olive oils. So splurge, get a variety of salt, and then just slice up the tomatoes, put the olive oils out there, put the salts out there, and say, have at it. That's what I would tell people.
It's a do-it-yourself.
Yeah, do it yourself. Maybe
Love that.
Maybe some different accoutrements, like maybe get some burrata cheese or some mozzarella, get some prosciutto, maybe a couple of vinegars or like a Vincoto or a Saba balsamic or something like that. But other than that, like the best thing about tomatoes, like you said earlier, is that they are delicious, and sometimes they just need a tiny lift on the volume, and that could come in the form of salt or acid.
I want to go to this party and I want to go real bad.
You two are not alone in your love of tomatoes. Now, when we posed the recipe question to our readers and listeners, tomatoes were heavily featured. And all we did was ask about your favorite summertime recipe. We were not specific on vegetables. We got this salad idea from Chris.
Hi, everyone. This is Chris from Highland Park, Texas. I know you're looking for some really great summer recipes, and there's one that is a great memory of mine growing up, and that was in the summertime, my grandmother would make this incredible summer fresh tomato salad. You know, you wait for the right time in the summer where the tomatoes are the best that they can be all year round, and as long as they're large, ripe, Texas-sized tomatoes, you can add some cucumbers. That's the color green. You add a few sliced peppers, maybe a red one and a yellow one, You're certainly going to add a red onion, and you kind of baste it in a day in oregano, red wine vinegar, sugar, olive oil, salt, and pepper. So what you get is you get the tartness of the vinegar, you get the sweetness of the sugar, you get the saltiness, but you also have these tremendous flavors from the tomatoes that come out. And the key to this is to make sure that you make it, you fridge it. It could be overnight or a few hours, but what you really would like to do is serve it at room temperature. It just needs time for all the ingredients to get through those tomatoes, and they'll never be juicier than after a few hours sitting in kind of this moat of flavor from everything. And serve it room temperature with the family, and I will tell you, you're going to love it. It's an easy recipe. And here is a pro tip for free. Save the juices. They are so good, and they are great for a salad later in the week, a dressing on top of some grilled vegetables. There's many different reasons that you don't want to get rid of the great juices that come from this salad.
Ooh, that sounds really good. I think I could find so many uses for that leftover juice.
I might just drink that, you know?
Take it like a shot.
Aha, correct.
Jack also had something to share.
Hi, this is Jack from Dallas. My favorite summer meal is a simple BLT. Sourdough bread, Duke's mayo. You can't show up with Miracle Whip. It's not actually mayonnaise. Dukes are nothing. Heirloom tomatoes with a little bit of flaky salt. I always get my tomatoes from Central Market. They've got the best heirloom. Crisp lettuce, crispy thick cut bacon. It's the perfect meal when everything is hot out. Oh, and tell Sarah Blaskowicz I said hi.
Hi, Jack.
Hey, I love how something as simple as a BLT gets controversial, you know? Especially when it comes to the mayo. Where do you stand in this debate?
I say mayo is important. I don't mind Miracle Whip, but if you're going to go all out, make your own mayo. Or if you're not, why not try like Japanese Kewpie mayo? To me, that's where I would go with my BLT.
Ooh. I worked on a cookbook once and there was a BLT in it and everyone was like, why are you putting a BLT in it? It involved pickled hard-boiled eggs, which was a very fun twist to make it a little bit different if you wanted protein and gains.
And we do.
What we also did though was we reserved the rendered fat from the bacon, and that was the fat that we used for the most part in the mayo. So it was a bacon infused. This is not like a new thing since time began type of innovation, but it is a fun one if you're up for experimenting with something different.
Also, then you have bacon-infused mayo in your fridge for all the times. And anytime I need mayo, I think I would be fine with it being bacon-flavored.
And one of the most interesting one I had was crab fat mayo.
Oh.
Like it sounds strange, but it was good when I had it.
I didn't even know that crabs could get fat.
Correct.
So this was a Filipino product we had picked up. It was a crab fat mayo. Same process, some yolks. The crab fat mayo, we added a little bit of acidity into it and just put it in the blender and have at it. And then, you know, everyone knows how to emulsify mayo.
That sounds really good. I want to hop back in on the Miracle Whip comment and say that I don't like that at all. I love every other kind of mayo. We were a Hellman's family until we found Duke's, but we have Miracle Whip for the family members who need it, and need does seem to be the word, but I sure wish that was not in my fridge.
Yeah, if you're not making your own, I am on the Kewpie mayo train too. Just it has more egg yolks in it, right?
Yeah.
It's yolkier.
It's yolkier, has a tiny bit of umami in it as well. If people are not familiar with Kewpie mayo, I think once you go to it, it's hard to go back to any other mayo.
Ooh. So much personality.
Yeah, I'm going to say maybe Jack try that one. That being said, I bet Jack's from the South.
Yes. Jack brings up a point that I want to ask the rest of y'all. Where do you get your tomatoes if you aren't lucky enough to have a generational tomato farm like Anna? If you didn't steal soil and smuggle it back to Dallas?
It's also 100% legal because it was within the state of Texas.
Fine.
For the record.
She's not taking it over state lines.
But this is a great time to also go to farmers markets. We have a great farmers market here in Dallas, especially when you're trying to find those non-uniform heirloom shapes, what Chef Andre was talking about. The farmers market is awesome for that. Otherwise, Central Market actually does stock Jacksonville tomatoes depending on the week.
Maybe you grow your own tomatoes, you know? You don't need a lot of space for that.
You just can't have squirrels.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. Julie's been making faces this entire time. So you got a problem?
I hate tomatoes. I hate all of them. And I know I won't even eat the beautiful heirloom tomatoes that my husband grows in our little side garden. And it's funny you mentioned the squirrels, because they will go and like take a few bites out of a tomato and then throw it in the pool just so he'll see them.
No.
But tomatoes are disgusting. They're like larvae. They're not done. And anytime they put, because they always put tomatoes on my stuff. They'll put it in my salad and on my sandwich. When I try to take it off, it's like left its goop on there. So it it still will taste like a gross raw tomato. So for anybody who's like me, instead of the tomatoes, I will make red pepper sandwiches with mozzarella during the summer with like ciabatta or sourdough or something. And it's super easy. Get a jar of roasted red peppers and dump some balsamic in there so it gets a little sweet and sour. Melt the mozzarella on top and put some salad greens on it. It's really, really good. And there are no tomatoes.
I have a question for Julie. Do you like ketchup?
I love ketchup. I love all kinds of tomato products.
Okay.
That doesn't taste like tomato to me. Tomato is like sour and weird. And look, for the record, my kids force me to eat a tomato every year because my husband will make the beautiful plates of like mozzarella and the fresh tomatoes and basil, and it looks amazing. And they're like, just try it, Mom. And so I'll take a bite, and it's just every single time.
We do have some options for people like Julie who hate tomatoes.
Hi, this is Jessica in Keller, and I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite recipes. We always make it for the Mimosa Mom morning. It's required. I don't think people would come if we didn't serve the casserole. We've been making it for that annual event for the last 8 years, where moms just come once a year and they get served a warm breakfast. They're not allowed to bring anything, and it's usually casserole, coffee, and mimosas, maybe some fruit if we're really being good. Okay, you're going to need a roll of crescent rolls, and you're going to put that out in a 9x13 pan, and then you're going to brown a roll of hot sausage. It has to be the hot. Like, it won't taste good if you get the mild or the sage or the whatever. And then you whip together 8 eggs and a can of cream of onion soup, and then you layer on the sausage on top of the crescent roll. Then you pour the egg soup mixture over the sausage and kind of even it out. And then you sprinkle 2 cups of cheese on top. I usually use sharp cheddar. Doesn't really matter. Then you put the lid on and you put it in the refrigerator overnight, also required. Then the next morning, or whenever you need it, you cook it at 350 degrees for 45 minutes until the top is brown and bubbly. I just made this casserole for a group of 15 moms that got together celebrating our kids all being seniors. And let's just say we had it for breakfast and for lunch, and the day ended with tears and hugs and warm fuzzies for everyone.
It's always good to have a casserole recipe. And I also make a breakfast casserole sometimes for a football tailgate if it starts early in the morning.
I don't think you need a breakfast casserole recipe. Those are not my favorite.
Wait, why?
I'm happy for people who like them. I have scarring memories of eating strata growing up.
Chef, I want to ask you, what's your take on a can of cream of something in a casserole? As a home cook, this is like in a lot of holiday recipes. And I know you may not cook like that in a restaurant, but what do you think about that?
I understand why people do it, the tradition of it. But I would also say it's not that difficult to make whatever's in the can also.
Fair enough.
You know, if it's cream of mushroom, you could slice a couple of button mushrooms up and saute them with a little bit of onion, add some cream. It's the same thing.
Fair.
And we have one more recipe that I think we all need to try.
Hi, this is Annie from Arlington, and I know you guys are gathering up some recipes that are perfect for the summer, and I wanted to share a cocktail recipe that I stumbled on. I actually literally just stumbled upon it at the grocery store, and I thought, oh, this might be good. So what you're going to start out with is some peach Prosecco. You can even buy peach Prosecco if you don't want to commit to a full bottle. You can get these little like baby bottles. I call them baby bottles. It's like a 6-pack. And so it's really just kind of one serving per person. So anyways, you want to start with the peach Prosecco. Then this is super important. You have to get frozen peaches. I prefer the sliced frozen peaches. If you're more of a chunky person, I guess that would work. But I just think like it's so beautiful to have like the sliced peach in your glass. And then when the sun comes through it as it's melting, it's beautiful. So I'm kind of an aesthetic person. So that's what I would go with. But the main thing is frozen peaches. It all starts there. When you get back home, you get your glass out, you put the frozen peaches in, and then you pour the Prosecco on top. And then I add a drop or two of simple syrup. As you're drinking it, what will happen, you're outside, you're by the pool, maybe you put it in your Stanley Cup, you're at the park with your kid in the summer. The peaches will start to melt and they keep the drink cold. And then at the end of it, you have this tasty little snack, right? Because you're drinking, so you need something for your stomach too.
Now, what you can also do is if you want to take it a step further, once you get to the end of the glass and the peaches have really kind of melted quite a bit, you scoop them out, you put them in a bowl, and then you can pour whiskey on top of that or vodka. Then you throw them back in the freezer, keep them there for a minimum 5 days to 2 weeks, and boom, the next time you want to recreate this drink, it's with a twist. That's why I call it Peaches and Mean, because there's really like no end to where you can go with this cocktail. It starts out just a very simple, sweet, summery, peachy cocktail. But if you want to take it up a level, 5 days to 2 weeks later, you put those peaches back in there, but they've been sitting in whiskey. And so your little snack at the end is going to have a way different effect. And that's it. That's my Peaches and Mean cocktail.
Okay, she had me at Stanley full of booze.
It sounds like it would also be delicious if you wanted to cut the sweetness at all with a little bit of topo.
Yeah, agree. Bubbles and less booze.
No, less booze, no.
I can't wait to drink that. I'm gonna make that tonight.
Well, I was wondering, gang, if we should have a peaches episode. Peaches are one of my favorite things to eat in the summertime. And I grew up going to Northeast Texas to a lake where we would eat peach ice cream and peach cobbler. We would put it in salads. We would eat peaches like they were apples in July. So I love this cocktail recipe simply because it highlights one of my favorite summertime Texas ingredients.
And that's all the time we have for today. If you have an easy summer recipe to share, email us at eatdrink@dallasnews.com. And we don't want you to miss an episode. Make sure you're following Eat Drink DFW wherever you find podcasts. Special thanks to our producer, Julie Fisk. For the news, I'm Anna Butler. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Eat, Drink, DFW from the Dallas Morning News is made possible by Central Market.